also, another thing is that I was obsessed with water, like H2O, like water, and I never used to drink water. Well, I used to drink water, but not to the point where I was like craving it. Like this was an intense craving of water. I had never wanted water so much, and it's hard to explain, but it's like when your like body is like craving something, you like always want it, and it's insane. I would literally wake up in the middle of the night craving water. I would go into the kitchen, and we had these like big like gallon jugs of water like this, and I would just drink it. Sometimes if we didn't have the gallon jugs, I would go into the bathroom. This is crazy. I would go into the bathroom and turn on the faucet on the sink and like lift my head under and just be like drink water like that, because I was just craving so much water. It was insane. I was drinking bottles and bottles of water. My mom noticed that too, which she thought was crazy. She thought that was strange, and she was kind of picking up on those signs. And another thing, because I was drinking so much water, and even if I didn't drink a lot of water, I would always have to pee. Like, I would have to go to the bathroom all the time, constant peeing, and like, I would, even after drinking a little bit of water, I would have to pee. It was crazy. So those were like three of the signs that like the three main symptoms, and then of course my eyesight. Those were like the main symptoms that I had. So my mom, like I said, my mom was kind of sus. She was kind of suspect of that. So it was one day that I was at my grandma's house, and my grandma, like so my grandma lived with her grandma. My grandma lived with her mom, so my great grandma, and my great grandma was diabetic as well. So she already had like diabetic supplies and things like that. So one day I was just feeling like really tired and lethargic, and I just was not feeling good. Like I was not feeling myself. So my mom told my grandma my symptoms, and my grandma was like, that sounds like she might have diabetes, and my mom was like, I know, that's what I was saying, you know. And she was like, she's feeling really sick and lethargic, like she's not feeling good. And like I wasn't like to the point where I thought I was gonna pass out or anything like that. Like I wasn't feeling that sick, but I knew I wasn't feeling the best. Like I was just kind of really tired and lethargic, like. And so my mom was like, you should check her blood sugar, like, you know, like where you prick your finger and put it in that little thing. And so my grandma was like, okay. And I was like, I was scared because I was like, I don't want a needle going into my finger. Like, oh my gosh, no. She's like, it's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt. Little did I know I would be doing that for the rest of my life. So anyway, she checked it. First blood sugar check of my life, and my blood sugar was like 512, which, if you don't know, your blood sugar, a normal blood sugar level is supposed to be anywhere from like 80 to like 120, and my blood sugar was 512. Everyone was like, how is she not in a coma right now? Like, everyone was shook, like legit, like how was I not in a coma? So, I started getting nervous because I was like, what does that mean? Like, and everything, like they were like, okay, her blood sugar is very high. And so they called, they were like call like the hospital or 911 or something, like I can't even remember what they called. And I think it was like an on-call doctor. I think that's what they called. They called like an on-call doctor. And they were like, I think my grandma called or my mom called or whatever. Like, my granddaughter, has her blood sugar So, um, everything kind of starts getting a little blurry at this point. Not like physically, like my eyes, but like I just can't remember everything that happened. But I do remember going to the ER, and they kind of like hooked me up on IVs and things like that, and they gave me like crackers and things like to snack on because I was hungry, but I couldn't really eat because my blood sugar was already high and I did not need it to go any higher. So my grandma was there, and then I basically had to wait for my parents to come. So my mom and dad, and I can't remember where my brother was at the time, but obviously he was a lot smaller. I just can't remember where he was. But anyway, so after a certain point, they basically said they would have to transport me to a different hospital, because the hospital that I was at was in like a small county, like in one of our small counties, and they needed to transport me to the city hospital. So the city is like an hour from us, so the ambulance was going to transport me to, like, drive me like an hour to go to the big city of my state, to go to one of the hospitals there. So this was my first and only, since then, hopefully I will never have to be in an ambulance again, but this was my first time riding in an ambulance, and it was pretty crazy. It was an interesting experience. I've never been in one, and I haven't been in one since then. But anyways, I can't remember if my mom rode with me, I think, and my dad, like, drove the car behind the ambulance. My grandma went home, of course. But yeah, I rode in the ambulance, and they hooked me up to, like, IVs and things like that, and it was, like, nighttime, and I was tired, I was tired, so I was just kind of like, I think I'm gonna close my eyes for a second, and the EMS guy was like, he kept asking me every 5 seconds, he was like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, I am fine, leave me alone. Like, dude, shut up, stop doing your job. But, like, I understand why, because, like, they legit thought that I could go into a coma at any time, like, I didn't understand the seriousness of it. But obviously I never went into a coma. Thankfully, I've never been in a coma, and I hope I never will be. But I understand why he kept asking, was I okay? Like, they didn't really want me to go to sleep because they just didn't know. So anyway, like, still, we didn't know what I had. Like, what we did, we hadn't figured, but, like, I wasn't diagnosed yet. So anyway, they that's basically what type 1 diabetes is. So there's like, technically there's 3 types of diabetes, but I'm only gonna go into type 1 and type 2. So, like when I would tell people when I was younger that I had diabetes, they'd be like, but you're not fat. And a lot of people think that you have to be bigger to have diabetes, and that's not true. Like, you can be skinny and have diabetes, okay? But legit, you could have type 1 even if you're bigger or skinny or whatever. But the difference is with type 2 diabetes, usually your diet kind of affects you getting diabetes. So, like, your pancreas is like what controls your insulin production, right? And your endocrine, things like that. But your pancreas, like your source of your insulin. And with type 2 diabetes, sorry. With type 2 diabetes, your insulin production is like slowed up. So like your pancreas still produces insulin, So now I had to deal with a completely new school and diabetes at the same time. Ugh. And I mean, I was hitting adolescence, which that's a lot of the time when you have diabetes. Like when you get type 1 diabetes, a lot of the time it'll start at adolescence, which is exactly when it started for me. So not only did I have to deal with puberty, dealing with puberty, but I had to deal with type 1 diabetes and entering into a completely new school with new kids all at the same time. Wonderful. How exciting. So I would always have to, you're technically supposed to have, like, with diabetes, you're supposed to manage your food. So, like, you have to have, like, a snack. I had to have a snack after every meal, like, 2 hours after every meal. I don't do that. I don't really do that anymore. Honestly, I eat snacks throughout the day. But, like, so I would have to go to the nurse 2 hours after I ate lunch, and 2 hours before I ate lunch, and go eat a snack at the nurse's office. So it was kind of cool being able to get out of class to go eat a snack. But the snacks were whack. Yo, like, they were whack snacks. Like, I had sugar-free Jello. That stuff was disgusting, bro. I have never eaten that again. It was so disgusting. Taking things over to sugar-free just sucked. But I don't mind diet soda. Diet soda's actually not that bad. But yeah. So that was kind of cool, being able to do that. But then I also had to leave early before lunch to go to the nurse to take my insulin. So I was going to the nurse's office 3 times throughout the day. 3 times. It sucked. And I had to do this all. I basically had to have a relationship with every nurse. I had a relationship because, like, the nurse that I had in 6th grade ended up leaving. So then I had another nurse that came in 7th grade, and then she left, and then I had another nurse that came in 8th grade. So I had 3 nurses in middle school. Then in high school, I had another nurse, but she stayed she was there for the whole 4 years. But high school, it kind of got a little bit easier, because I was just used to it by then. But, like, I could always use the excuse to be like, hey, I'm not feeling well. It's probably my diabetes. I should go to the nurse. And the nurse was like, do you think it's your diabetes? I'm like, it might be. And I got to go home. But let me tell you, most of the time I really was feeling well. Not feeling well though, but you know, I could use that excuse like it's my diabetes. I should go. And teachers would be like, oh my gosh, okay, go ahead. But yeah. So I had a relationship with like 4 of my nurses. It's crazy. But these days diabetes is a lot easier to manage. I have an insulin pump now instead of needles. I don't take shots. I've had an insulin pump since I was in high school now. I can't remember what year I got it, but it's a lot easier to manage. And basically it's like an insulin